For years, Asphalt 8 has captivated the mobile racing game genre, and it became the go-to game for casual and hardcore players alike. However, in recent times, this game has witnessed a noticeable decrease in popularity. I honestly think it's something a bit deeper than microtransactions, so let's find out how a game that openly bragged about 470 million players at one point is more or less dead. Also, before we get started, please consider liking and subscribing because it would greatly help my channel. Give yourself a quick pat on the back if you did any of those. Before we state the elephant in the room, microtransactions, I think it would be best to start off with what I perceive to be the biggest reason for this game's decline in popularity: the changes. This game has just gone through way too many changes throughout its life, and I'm not just talking about the addition of new cars and new tracks and new features. I'm talking about tuning, currency, and just gameplay in general. I think one of the leading reasons to this game's decline in popularity is that there are just too many changes. Change isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it's actually necessary to maintain a video game throughout its life. But a lot of these changes in Asphalt 8 are just so frequent that it kind of gets hard to keep up with the game, making it difficult for newcomers and veterans alike. The state of tuning in Asphalt 8 is a perfect example of this. These changes in tuning not only alienate older players, but also in some cases, it presented a significant barrier of entry for newer players. I forgot which update it was, but I think it was the 8th anniversary update that absolutely turned tuning upside down. This update basically allowed older players to have a significant advantage in multiplayer if they played their cards right during the past few years. Before this update, you could simultaneously tune both max and pro aspects of your vehicle, but after this update, pro tuning was locked behind the prerequisite of completing max tuning. This change was incredibly detrimental because Asphalt 8 multiplayer has always been based on speed relative to car rank rather than just car rank itself. Those who previously had access to pro tuning are able to achieve a higher speed at a lower rank, which was problematic for those who can no longer access pro tuning. Even though this is a glaring problem, you might be thinking, wait, this isn't the current state of tuning in Asphalt 8? And you'd be right when you asked that question. It isn't the current state of Asphalt 8, because the game was changed literally a year later. Max upgrades were completely eliminated, and now only pro upgrades are available. And I can't stress enough that this was only a year later. I literally reinstalled the game after 1 year of not playing to be more informed about making this video. And to be honest, I'm a bit more confused after downloading this game. Moving on from tuning and multiplayer, currency has also been revamped far too many times. And this isn't like one or two currencies they've added over the many years that this game has been supported. It's 18 different currencies. 18, and that's not even counting the various festival tokens. Humans are a creature of habit and simplicity, at least to a certain degree, and this game lacks both habit and simplicity. Sure, this game's death could be chalked up to a bunch of other things, but the fact that this game is so confusing is easily one of the greatest contributing factors. At least Asphalt 9 got this right because they keep everything somewhat simple and consistent in terms of gameplay. And speaking of Asphalt 9, it makes perfect sense that a new installment of a game would detract from an older installment's player base. It happens in almost every game series in every genre. Sure, there are some exceptions, but those are few and far between. Players usually flock to newer games because of its better features and more frequent updates. This is most definitely the case with Asphalt 9, as it has better features and typically more frequent updates. Furthermore, Asphalt 9 is just so much easier to pick up and play for nearly anyone. Another aspect that makes Asphalt 9 miles better than its predecessor is that it is easy to get good at, but hard to master, making it at least somewhat more friendly to new and casual players. Asphalt 8 is the other way around, as it is incredibly hard to master, and there's only so much you can do in terms of skill. This might seem counterintuitive, but it makes sense considering that cars are typically more important than skill in this game. Finally, let's state the obvious: microtransactions. Microtransactions are one of the main reasons that Asphalt 8 is dead. There are quite a few videos about the overtly aggressive microtransactions and how they've affected this game on YouTube, so I will pass on taking a deep dive on this. Let me just sum up the state of the game really quickly. Do you want to upgrade your car? Well, that's 300,000 fusion coins and 400 cards. Do you want to buy this car? Well, that's too bad because you aren't willing to sell your kidney to get it. All you need to know is that microtransactions make it literally impossible to do a lot of things in this game. Okay, so that about sums it up. Thanks for watching, consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you all later. Take care.